United against Manchester City, third against ninth in the table, if I'm not mistaken here. It's an early game going ahead on Saturday. Obviously, a cracking game to look forward to. City, second in the league, playing catch-up to Arsenal and lost in the EFL Cup during the week. They'll look to rebound, Michael. However, they believe it or not, Manchester United are now only 4 points behind them and in terrific form. Forget what I said earlier about the ninth place spot there. I forgot to remove that one. They have now won their last 6 games across all competitions and let in only 1 game. So it's a huge game for both clubs. I can't believe I'm saying this, Michael. But who's your favorite in this game and why? Don't go with your heart here. Go with your head.
Man.
I'm going to go. Tells you to go with.
Can we do the shot clock for Nigel? Can we really do the shot clock for Nigel? Just interruptions.
Got it.
I'm all right. You got me when you said don't go with your heart, go with your head. It's so hard to bet against Manchester City in this matchup. City, and I hate to say this as a United fan, City have owned United in this matchup in the last 7-8 matches in the last 5-6 years, especially when they come to Old Trafford. They tend to put on a show and tend to save that. The 6-3 win last time at the Etihad, that was disaster, and really 6-1 was the scoreline. City took off their big guns, and then subs came on. Anthony Martial scored 2 goals and made it still not respectable. What I'm concerned about for United is the positioning of Christian Eriksen. When they played at the Etihad, Eriksen got absolutely exposed. He's not a defensive midfielder. We know that. That's a big gamble that you play, and when you put him in there. A team like Manchester City, they do this so well. They get the ball to the end line, runners from midfield making those darting runs, and when they get there, they cut the ball back to the PK spot. That is where I'm concerned about Christian Eriksen's positioning, because I think City will expose them yet again. It's the blueprint for success against United with Pep Guardiola. They've been doing it for seasons, and I don't like the feeling I have in the pit of my stomach in this game.
JJ.
I mean, it's one of those weird ones because City were really, really unimpressive against Saints. But United, they have that tendency, to impress you and then do something really stupid and fall back on bad old habits. So, I mean, for me, I don't know. I'm really trying to work out how I'm feeling about City right now, not just sort of in terms of their form at the moment, but how I see their season panning out in general. Because obviously we know how strong that squad is, but their form has been patchier earlier in the season than it has been in the past. And I don't know. I still don't feel entirely convinced they're going to win the Champions League. Fast forward, I know, to June, and I'm sure that they've lifted the trophy by then. But no, for me, I think that this is an interesting one because I think that United could actually pull something off here. Especially given that City weren't convincing against Southampton. I mean, okay, I know it's a rotated squad, but for me, I think that United have a really good opportunity to pull off something of an upset here. I'm not necessarily sure that they're going to get the win, but I can see City maybe not coming away with the victory.
Oof. I'm going to go with JJ. JJ, I agree with you. I, for some reason, see United pulling off the upset here. I think when you look at this United side now, under Alf, he's done so well with this team. And, what are you laughing at?
Under Alf?
Who? Sorry, again, sorry. Thank you.
Alfie who?
It's going to be a Holland derby.
We are authentic and the best football podcast you can ever listen to in the USA. Anyway, authentically ourselves. Erik Ten Hag's done fantastically well with this United side. I see a focused United side. I see an informed Marcus Rashford. Again, it's the Manchester derby. Past forms goes out the window. This is not a Manchester United side that we're looking at, that we're trying to find or see an identity or a style of play or a pattern of play. I understand what Michael said about the cutback, City's way and style of playing, pulling it back at the edge of the box, but you forgot to mention a world-class Casemiro, who's come in that midfield and made a difference. The pairing of Casemiro and Christian Eriksen is the perfect balance of a midfield you could ever want at a top-level team. You have a ball-winning midfielder who's comfortable to get the ball in deep areas, make those forward passes, also has the ability to create goal-scoring chances, and you have Eriksen who can create things and make things happen in the other end. It's the perfect balance you could ever want at that level. I personally see a more determined, organized, and focused Manchester United side. And I feel with this Man City side, it's still hard to point a finger of what's what with Manchester City. at the moment. I see cracks in Manchester City as I do with Liverpool. I see a bit of inconsistency. It wasn't a great performance by top class players that they had in the cup against Southampton, even though I just did say that previous games don't matter. It's the Manchester derby, but I just give the edge to Manchester United in this.
ML?
Nigel, it's the first time I'm going to say this. Thank you for saying Alf, that is. Not for your commentary, for saying Alf.
Alfie Ten Hag.
Brilliant. Totally. Shout out to our producer, Des Norris, for the win. Nigel Reo-Coker, he is here each week on House of Champions with his gaps.
So is your dog.
Commentary and insight. No, it's not my
he's,
dog.
he's an Alf. He's an Alf fan.
JJ owns a dog. I'm not taking the fall for this one with the pups. But I'm so glad you said Casemiro.
He's just had enough of Nigel's chat. I've got him on the phone every night asking me what my cognac's tasting like.
I'm so glad you brought up Casemiro. The last 6-3 loss against City, Scott McTominay in the midfield with Eriksen. That is not a pairing I ever want to see again as a United fan. Burn that, put that in a burning trash fire, and just roll it down the river into the ocean, wherever you live, wherever you can. Who else? Marcus Rashford was playing striker. Anthony Martial comes off the bench. Anthony, yes, scores a goal. Anthony, he is going to be an X factor. There's been a lot of criticism about his play throughout the season, some of the showboating, but this guy, you give him space and time, he's got a left foot cannon on him. 2 goals in his last 2 games. Yes, EFL Cup against Charlton, FA Cup against Everton. I expect him to have another decent showing, if not a good performance, if United are to get a result. He and Anthony Martial, they will have to be effective to take the pressure and the focus that Pep Guardiola and his team will have on Marcus Rashford, because he has been red hot, as you said, Nigel.
Yeah, listen, there's no doubt that the player's getting in form at the right time, but also we must admire the job that Ten Hag has done. And I mean, Alfie Ten Hag, I'm talking about, not Erik Ten Hag. What a job he has done at Manchester United. And in my opinion, personally, we're not talking enough about the fact that this guy has gone up against probably one of the greatest players to ever play the game in Cristiano Ronaldo, kicked him out the door, and turned Manchester United's fortunes around. Dealing with egos, absolutely. Getting players back fit and healthy, but getting confidence to the players. And he does it in a unique, in a different way. I mean, he's a Dutch master as far as I'm concerned with the way that he's going about his business right now. Not any time to go through your predictions because Michael and Nigel took far too long. So let's get to the other fixtures. JJ, I'm coming to you first. There's a lot of other games to look forward to. Fulham and Chelsea obviously going on today. Villa Leeds, looking forward to that one on Friday. That should be an absolute banger of a game, by the way. At the weekend, we do have Brighton and Liverpool to look forward to. Everton against Southampton. We're on Lampard watch, everybody. And Newcastle against Fulham. I mentioned that one because Newcastle might be the winners this weekend if everybody else messes up their fixtures. So, JJ, which game are you looking forward to?
Oh, obviously, Villa against Leeds. It gives me a bit of a rivalry with Mike as well. Obviously, he's got his Leeds shirt in the background, Leeds scarf in the background. I've got my Villa formations and posters hanging up behind me. So, no, I'm really curious to see how Villa digest that really, really poor performance in the Cup. I think many Villa fans had their hopes hung on an FA Cup run, and then obviously putting out that sort of disgraceful finish to the game against Stevenage Borough, because it really was sort of the final 10 minutes or so that let the team down. So I think they really need to come up with a big reaction now, because feels, despite what many people are saying, sort of who follow the club week in, week out, I've always felt like Villa's aim for this season was to get back into the reckoning for Europe. I think they've left it too late, both in terms of the managerial change and the uptick in form. But if they're to have any chance, they really need to start putting points on the board now. I thought they would have done so against Wolves at home. Difficult game, obviously, with Lopetegui being a new coach, but they know Leeds. I mean, I know that everyone's going to be, optimistic around Leeds at the moment after the signing of Wilbur. They're getting Rutter in as well. But, Villa have just completed the signing of Alex Moreno as well. And, generally speaking, it's been a very positive start to life under Unai Emery. So we need to get a bit more of that back. And I feel this is the perfect kind of game for Villa to turn the corner. So that's definitely the one I'm tuning into.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think for me, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on Everton Southampton. I think that's a very interesting fixture. Obviously, you talked about it with Lampard being on manager watch, and it doesn't help when the chairman comes and publicly backs
when's Lampard not on Lampard watch? Or when are we not on Lampard watch?
Anyway,
it feels like we've been there since the beginning.
The chairman came and publicly backed Frank Lampard, and we all know when a chairman does that in football, that literally is the kiss of death. Southampton are coming off beating Manchester City in the Cup. Much needed boost of confidence. That should give him a tremendous amount of belief in that dressing room, because they're playing for Premier League survival. So that's going to be a real interesting and spicy encounter. And obviously, Everton being at home as well. If they don't start that game well, it's not going to take long for the Evertonian fans to turn on the team. And it could be a very hostile and difficult atmosphere for the players to play. So that's going to be an interesting game to keep an eye on this weekend.
This is the quickest I'll show, because I've said what I need to say, and I'll say enough. Brighton, Liverpool. Liverpool, will they, won't they? The consistency questions are still there. Brighton, last time they played, 3-3 draw at Anfield. The return of Alexis McAllister yielded 5 goals in cup competition. This is going to be an interesting matchup for Liverpool.